Radical Jack here. Day 24. Wow. It's it's flying now. I have to pause for a second just to make sure I'm getting it right. It's an interesting countdown, you know. So here we go. We're in the second quarter. I started off saying something yesterday that I didn't actually finish because we went on to something else. But so what I was saying was, it's becoming difficult to make the climbs, especially the weekends where daughter is here, like this weekend. She's not always up for the climb necessarily, so that's not the main issue. The main issue really is the diesel costs. It's an extra 4 or 5 hours a day to go to the sunrise and the sunset, because they're X amount of time either side of me. So it's the drive there, the drive back, and everything that I do in between, the climb. So and that's me just like, it's about 5 hours, I would say, but that's on the minimum. So it could take longer. There's been days where I've come in and I think, okay, I've got to do a few things, and then I got to go again by the time I prepare my food. So it's very different when you have your own time, which is why it's so understandable as to why we're in such a state of it was incapacitated, if you like, disjointed and we're all very, very much like controlled really by our bills and our rent and our job and these things. They're very much a part of our daily cycle, and so it's so easy. It's easy to say. To see actually how difficult it is to keep a good diet on top of all these things, these tasks that we have to do, and we can see relationships breaking down, especially when a man comes home from work and the woman's looking after the children, and then barely gets any time at all before he's been asked to fix the roof or sort out something that's just building up. And so none of these are any fault, but it does put a strain on the relationship. But it's neither of these things are on the faults of either party, But you can see the strain that it puts on a relationship, and then the time and energy that we have to being with our children. So difficult task. But so I'm finding it difficult now because on the one hand it's a 5 hour thing. And then it's the diesel. The diesel, it's like I didn't pencil that in at all. It's literally an extra 100, at least 100 euros a week, and that's not including the other driving that I've been doing, which is a fair bit as well. So which is keeping me busy, So this is not a complaint. This is just a reality. This is something where I'm disappointed myself in the week that I had to take off because I got snowed in, and it kind of broke the rhythm, But this would have come up anyway, I would say. So at the moment, it's like, it's going to be as and when, because also, as I said, I'm potentially moving west. So I need to get all my stuff sorted, And so I've been moving so much the last few years that everything's just stayed in boxes, and I really need to break it down and sort it out. And so I have this space of time to do so, And then in the event that something happens and I do make that move, well, then it's going to be before the 88 days. So that's just a reality where I have to take this opportunity. And, so therefore, it's going to be, it's not going to be a complete chain, day in, day out, as was planned, But then these were added, these climbs were added. And I enjoy it and I love it, and it's very different when you're living somewhere like the Glastonbury Tour, where it's just a question of walking up through the town, or sometimes I was living almost at the foot of the tour, and then I make my climb for the sunrise sunset. Different when you're in the Canary Islands and you have no commitments to anything, you know, like when I did that. So, you know, these are things that are obvious as to why it people find it difficult to do anything like that. Might be a type of discipline which you know, I'm using this opportunity, you know, to rewire myself, you know, expel and you know, cleanse my body, you know, from toxins and etc. You know, there's a whole heap of other things that we are talking about, or I'm sharing with you, you know. So, but yeah, there's going to be a break now in the climbs. I can't justify the whole thing. But nonetheless, you know, the fast is is what this is about. It's going to keep on going, and I'm still interested in if certain people are geared up for doing a climb with me here and there, then yeah, I can definitely try and make sure that I'm there when you're there, you know. So yeah, it's been a bit of a run around trying to sort other things out as well. And yeah, just that expense alone in diesel is definitely one aspect of it. But it's the time and energy, and now I have to break down my stuff. I have to get myself ready for the potential move, and I don't want to have to do that, you know, in the next place, because it might not be. It'd be a shared space, and there's nowhere to put stuff, you know. So you know, that's my mission over the next few weeks, and I'm going to try and catch as many sunrises and sunsets as I can, but it's just not going to be every day. So that's a nice try, you know. I got 13 days on the trot, and I've had maybe you know, another 7 or 8 since the snow, more so in Ishnok. But anyway, that's the reality, you know. And so yeah, as I said, my heart constantly goes out to people who are tied up in the system, so to speak, and find it you know, impossible to keep a discipline, whether it be trying to exercise or this or that, the other. So you know, I've opened up to exercise now myself. I'm doing I'm calling it the 8 jacks. It's kind of got a mixture of the 5 Tibetans and some breathing exercises, and I'm definitely feeling the benefits of that already. I feel like I've got more energy since I opened up that aspect of adding something to my routine and movement of my body, you know, and it's certainly helping. I'm definitely feeling woozy and weak at various intervals. I guess my body's still withdrawing from its reality of having food at particular times. But I still have my altar spaces. I still intend to honor the sunrise and the sunset, which basically means I will go out into the fields or somewhere close by and stand by a tree while the sun is either rising or going down. And so you know, I'll find a local hill, so to speak, where I can get that vantage point. So yeah, you know, there is that. You know, it doesn't have to be a sacred site. You know, it was definitely what I wanted to do with Ishnok and Loughcrew, them being premier sites. You know, and known as a sacred land, and always has been revered, and you know, and both aligned also, you know, with the various cairns and stuff like that are on them. So you know, but that's all good. That's fine. So yeah, I intend to make sure that I keep up that kind of routine of getting up before sunrise, and I am starting to rise earlier and earlier. I don't need the alarm anymore. I just wake up, which is a sure sign as well of how you know, eventually discipline just kicks in until it becomes completely natural. You know. You know, it just makes a difference going to bed earlier, because if I get up earlier, you know, they say that the hours before 12 are worth 2, and you know, for some reason it feels like that, you know. So possibly there's something happening there as well. So to get to bed when you know, well, certainly in the summer when the sun goes down, and then in the yeah. You know, things are getting earlier and later, you know, in relation to the sunrise and the sunset. So but anyway, that's it. I mean, I did a small little vid there a minute ago of just showing you my altar and stuff like that. I was going to put that up as well. Just, it's only a 3 or 4 minute thing. Yeah, I've got my daughter this weekend, and we're off out. We've just been we stayed in the van last night, and went looking at another caravan, and you know, a dealer this time. And you know, it's so interesting, like when every character, yeah, oh yeah, I know what you mean, I know what you mean, oh Jesus, yeah, I wouldn't do that, da 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 da, and then I get there and it's exactly the same thing. So there's this kind of interesting thing that goes on inside us as well, that kind of personal inner belief, you know, that we're not doing something when in fact we're actually doing it. You know, how often do we do this? I know that I'm definitely prone to that, you know, or have been in the past. You know, I'm obviously I'm constantly aware of my integrity, and trying to be as honest as I can, especially when stuff comes up for me, and trying to admit things, you know. I think it's really important, you know, that we do this, and often a lot of stuff does come up. There's no doubt there's stuff coming up for me in relation to the lack of food, you know. You know, I feel a lot of kind of emotion and kind of pain, and I have dramas in my head, you know, where, you know, there's you know, scenarios and situations that are definitely unresolved, you know, and this is why we stuff ourselves and smoke and drink and do some of these things, you know. And it's not to say that, you know, smoking and drinking is bad ultimately, you know. There are aspects of it, like, which I definitely think is bad. I mean, drinking cans, drinking low grade wine, or just stuff that is just obviously, you know, mass produced, like anything else. It's not going to be as healthy or as amazing as some of the fine wines, or some of the beautiful beer that you might be able to get, you know. So, you know, it's all swings and roundabouts in that kind of area, but there's no doubt about it. When we are doing something, you know, and I'm going to talk about this maybe tomorrow or the next day, we're talking about consciousness. Are you conscious while you're smoking, or are you angry as you're smoking? Because if you're angry when you're smoking, you know, that's maybe where the cancer builds up, and why some people can smoke and some people can smoke till the day they die, they don't get cancer. Perhaps they're deriving pure joy from that, you know. And then the same could be said from food, you know, for food, you know. There's a lot of stuff like that's to do with the mind, you know, but it's really up to you to look at that, you know, in relation to what I'm saying. But it is really important, you know, if you're going to do something, you know, to do it consciously, to be aware and of how and why you're doing this. Because if you're doing something like smoking pot, as an example, to escape and just numb yourself down, you know, if that's the purpose of it, then it's not medicine, you know. And generally speaking, you know, a lot of people talk about pot, like for as an example, as, oh, it's medicine. But, you know, I don't see them using it as medicine. And I think as well also, you know, do you see yourself as sick? Because we only take medicine when we're sick. So, you know, look at the psychology behind this, you know, and check your friends, check your people who, you know, you respect. Because often we behave accordingly, you know, in relation to, you know, how much we respect certain people. So, because if they're doing something, well, I respect them, so therefore I'm going to do it, you know. And so, you know, don't get me wrong here now, right? Because, like, you know, I know lots of smokers, and it's a prayer for them, you know, both tobacco and cannabis, you know. And certainly the same can be said for cannabis and tobacco. There's additive-free tobacco, and then this tobacco, like, that is not basically what it is that it's supposed to be, you know. It's full of chemicals, and they put all sorts of shit in there to keep you addicted. And the same with cannabis. Cannabis has so many different strains now and strengths that it's been taken over. It's full of hybrids. And you know, there's a whole lighting system, you know, hydroponics and stuff like that. And so, you know, it's not the same weed that Bob Marley was smoking, you know, directly from Africa, grown in the sun. You know, so to look at this stuff, look at this, you know, in the same way, it's the same analogy, you know, in relation to food and all the things that we consume. You know, you can take this and apply it, you know, in relation to analyzing and you know, looking at this stuff, researching this whole relationship we have with consumption, consuming. You know, and then consciousness on that, how the mind works, you know, in relation to that, which is why there's so many differences between us in that. And the easiest person to remember, the easiest person to blag in this world is yourself. Remember that, you know. So anyway, peace and love. This is today, and Lots of love, and we'll see you soon. Yeah.